Welcome to Puck Talk CS. I'm Matthew Mugno alongside Steve Murno. The New York Rangers defeating the Edmonton Oilers in overtime last night, a 3-1 comeback. Steve, initial thoughts?
This is big. I mean, this was a big team win. Not even that. You put together a game like you did the other night against the Canucks. You come out and you come from behind against the Edmonton teams, a team for some reason in previous memory that we cannot beat on the road in their building, and to put a performance like that together, huge. And I really think that a win like this is something we could really build on going forward. You had a couple bad games, San Jose, Calgary. Wins like this put those games behind you, and it starts to change the momentum and say, you know what, let's look forward and see what's ahead of us. So I want to hear your thoughts. Let's talk some puck, bro. Finally, something positive here.
I know it's so unfortunate too. You and I feel like we're old now, right? Like, when we got back into Puck Talk in like 21, you and I would crush these West Coast games and watch them together. I'll be honest, Vancouver game, I was asleep in the third period. Last night, I was in bed and I was like just keeping up with the game once I saw that they tied it again. Although I shouldn't have. So yeah, I can't say like analysis wise, I could break down what players were winning puck battles along the boards. But overall, the win in Vancouver was a win. You take it and you move forward, right? You shut Vancouver down. They were struggling. Edmonton comes in 5-4-2. That surprised me. I thought they played a little bit better than their record showed. But the New York Rangers, one, keep Connor McDavid off the board. Two, 5-1-1 on the road this season, Steve. 0-4-1. That closes out October. Happy Halloween, everyone, by the way. Doing this on the fly, Steve, right? I know Steve's got a meeting with an executive in about 10 minutes, so we're crushing this epi. Home records and away record completely different, and they got one more on this road trip.
Yeah, that's a little spooky. The one thing I'll say about the Vancouver game is the defense was phenomenal. I don't know what it is. Maybe it was because Quick was in there. Quick had a great game. I mean, we say this all the time about the Rangers, but when for some reason when our backup goalie is in there, like we just play better defense. I don't know what it is, but we reverted to playing the kind of defense that's made us the best team in the league 2 years ago. And I think the defense was phenomenal. Vancouver was a little stalish a little bit, but still overall, I mean, the defense has been great. Igor, I thought he didn't have the greatest game against Edmonton, but he still made the big saves when it mattered most. And I think that is still very important. And overall, just a great team win. I thought I'll let you go. I'll let you react to that, and then I have another
Think
point.
about how valuable it is, Steve, that Igor, right, early season, the first 5 games, it was like, oh, they can't win. They can't put wins together, but he's having these like Vezina caliber performances. And then you win last night, and he didn't have his best game. He bounced back, though, as the team did. It's the first 3-1 comeback since the Stadium Series, February 2024.
Wow. That's crazy.
In fact, Vancouver, Edmonton, this could be their first 3-game win streak since last November. They didn't put 3 wins together the rest of last year.
Mm-hmm. In terms of last night, or overall, I want to talk about depth of scoring. I think that's a pretty big point. I think take a look at it. Zibanejad, Loft had plenty of good looks again, but can't find the back of the net, and that's been an issue. But some of these other guys have been stepping up. Look at last night with Schneider. Also, these last 2 games. How about a pair of bottom 6 forwards who are coming in and getting clutch goals for us? I mean, that in itself should not be a surprise. And I think if this team it plays to 2 points. Number one, you mentioned depth of scoring a couple episodes ago, and I think that is so important. I think when you look at all the goals that we have scored this season so far, a portion of that have been scored by defensemen, and I think half of them have been scored by forwards, which those half or out of the forwards that have scored, half of them have come from bottom 6 players. And I think that is very important for this team. It tells us that we need scoring from line 3, line number 4. We saw last year line number 3 was just such a dead line. We've seen this in the few wins. Let's go back to that Pittsburgh win on the road to open the year, that Buffalo win, games like last night against Edmonton. We need bottom 6 scoring, and I think that is something that this team needs. It also plays to our main point. This is like the main point ever on Puck Talk. The point of this core. This core has to perform on those nights that you don't get that scoring from the bottom 6. You're gonna need the Panarin and the Zibanejad and Lafreniere to step up, and they've gotten much better at getting good quality opportunities, but they're still not hitting the back of the net, and that is a problem when you want to win games. So what do you got for me on that note?
Yeah, Radish is your goals leader after October. I'm curious. I
Oh,
wish I did this before the episode, but in terms of research, I'd love to know who the last few goals leaders in October were, or the first month of the season.
ooh.
Um, yeah, 5 points in your last 7. You're 3-2-2. So at least there's an uptick. I know it's still very mid, very 500. And I think that goes hand in hand with the scoring. But last night, to see the team put together a few goals to come back and win, your captain wins it in overtime. That's JT Miller's first overtime goal as a New York Ranger since the Winter Classic in 2018 at Citi Field. I got to see that with my own eyes, Steve-O. Here's a few numbers because I know you mentioned this. 87.1 PK. That's good for 7th in the NHL. They're a top 10 penalty killing unit in the show. 13.3% power play is 30th in the NHL. That is a major point of concern. But 53.9% face-off win percentage as a collective team. So your centers down the middle, putting together over 50% in the top 5 in the NHL. That's a good sign. Igor obviously put up a phenomenal October despite a 3-4-2 record now after last night's game. That doesn't tell the whole story. Another point of concern that goes with scoring is they don't have a player in the top 76 in the NHL in scoring. Adam Fox has 9 points, so he's tied for 76th in the NHL. He's not a forward, so I still think those things are present, but like you said, it's trending in a better direction.
Yeah, and I think if I'm gonna sit here, I'm willing to bet that our top offensive dogs in this lineup, Panarin, Zibanejad. I don't know about Zibanejad, but Panarin is going to wake up at some point this year. They are going to wake up and find the back of the net at some point this season and go on some sort of streak. And I think just to get these 2 wins, and we're moving forward. You're going to play a tough Seattle Kraken team now, but you're flipping
I
the
feel like they
calendar.
always play Seattle on Halloween or around there.
Yeah, it's weird. And a weekend too. I don't know what it is, but you flip the calendar. You say, you know what? Let's see if we can get things turning in our direction now. And I think you made a good point on the standings. 2 wins like that will propel you in the standings. Before the Vancouver game, we were last place in the Metro. That's not the case anymore. How about Pittsburgh, man? Pittsburgh's been surprising this year. I don't know.
I know you and I got to do a league roundup, I think, to end October because I have a lot of thoughts on the rest of the league, but obviously we're on that time crunch today. But yeah, Pittsburgh's on a heater.
Next week we'll do that, and we'll also look at who the goal leaders were for maybe like the last 3 to 4 years to end October. That's interesting.
For sure.
I would love to see that. But yeah, all around, my reaction watching last night wasn't like let's go. It was finally the breadcrumbs start to fall in our direction, and I'm with you. Edmonton a little bit has looked a little stale coming out of the gate. I thought they were playing much better than they appear in the standings.
Hey, you know what? They're never a team that you they'll make the playoffs and then it's anyone's game. 2 best players in the world. All right, we're at 10:55 a.m. here as we're recording. So just to finish off, we got Seattle and Carolina at home on November 4th. That's our first primetime game of the season on national. So it's a pretty big month coming up. November, I think there's a lot of trap games. It's pretty busy, and they're playing some teams that are hot right now. So we'll see where those things trend. But what would you like to see in Seattle, Steve? You think quick starts, or you think they ride Chesty again?
I think they're going to ride Chesty again. I think it's very rare that you see quick Igor quick early this on in the season. I want to see a little bit more consistency from the bottom six. And not in terms of scoring and hitting the back of the net. I want to see quality chances, because if we're getting quality opportunities from the bottom six and throwing them off their game defensively, then that's just going to make it easier for our first two lines to get in there and get really good opportunities. And that Carolina game is huge early on in this year, because that is like our real first test of what we're going
Yeah.
up against this year in terms of the Metro. Like, Carolina is the top dog in my book. So that is a big game. I'm excited for that. What are you looking for?
All right. I was gonna say last thing I want to bring up for another time. We'll record this later too. Is Artemi Panarin looks like he is the number 1 UFA for this upcoming 2026 class. So we saw Natchez get signed yesterday. It seems like Eichel, McDavid, Natch, all those guys dropped off the board. So we'll definitely be talking about our thoughts on Panarin soon to be. So I'm glad we got this recap in, Steve-O, and I don't want to waste any more of your time.
I'm glad we walked away with 4 points to end the week after that shit in Calgary. So we'll see what happens next. As always, follow us along at Puck Talk CS on the YouTube, Instagram, all platforms. And always remember, it's just the luck of the puck.